So our topic today is public debt and debt management. Public debt and debt management. What do we understand by public debt? Public debt can be referred to total accumulated borrowing by government from home and abroad. What we mean by that? The total accumulated borrowing by government within the country and outside the country. The total government borrowing within the country and what? Outside the country. That is public debt. The total government borrowing within the country and outside the country. That is public debt. In my definition, I also refer public debt as total amount borrowed by government, either within or outside the economy, for the purpose of financing development program and to support balance of payment positions. So public debt, government have to borrow because government resources is limited. Why the want from people, the demand of people, the demand of the citizen from the government is unlimited. So government don't have enough resources. The tax revenue that government is collecting is not enough for government to provide the infrastructure that they need to provide. So they have to do what? They have to go and borrow. So public debt is otherwise known as public borrowing, government borrowing. The total amount borrowed by government within or outside the country. Classification of public debt. How do we classify public debt? Number one classification we have is marketable debt and non-marketable debt. Marketable debt and non-marketable debt. What is marketable debt? Those are the public debt. Those are government debt that can be traded in the stock exchange. In my notes, I say marketable debt are those who can be bought or sold in the financial market. Financial market means stock exchange, security market. Example of marketable debt: treasury bill, treasury certificates, development stock. Why is it marketable? They are marketable in the sense that, take for instance, if I subscribe treasury bill and the maturity period of treasury bill is after 90 days, I buy treasury bill from government of 2 million naira. When I buy it, and now I need money to do something. Before the maturity period, I may decide that let me sell the treasury bill to another person, so that if the treasury bill now at matured, is the new holder that will collect the proceed. Example, development stock. Development stock is more than 5 years. I buy development stock. How it works is, if you subscribe government development stock, you subscribe for 5 million naira. Every year, government will be paying you interest. They can say 10% development stock. It means 10% of 5 million naira, which is 500,000. It's what government will be paying you every year. Assuming that development stock is going to mature after 5 years, it means it is after 5 years, government will pay you back the principal. You need money. You have collected first year interest. You have collected second year interest. You can't wait till this development stock matured. You need money. When you need money, you can sell, you can go to stock exchange to go and sell the development stock. It means there is transfer in ownership. Another person is now the owner of that development stock. So when it matures, it's the new person that will collect the principal. After you sell it, you are not collecting the interest again. It's the new person that will collect it. So it's a marketable debt. A debt that can be traded in the stock exchange, that can be sold, or that can be bought or sold. Non-marketable debts are those debts that are issued in favor of specific debt holder. Non-marketable debt cannot be traded in the stock exchange. It cannot be bought or sold. They issue in favor of specific debt holder. Example of non-marketable debt. If government go to commercial bank to go and borrow money, they borrow 500 billion naira. Commercial bank cannot take it to stock exchange that they want to go and sell it. They want to go and sell it. No. Specific debt holder is that name of that commercial bank. It cannot be traded in the stock exchange. They have to wait until the period reach. They have to wait for the government to be paying them principal and interest based on the terms of the loan. It's a non-marketable debt. It's issued in favor of specific debt holder. What non-marketable debt means is that the ownership cannot be transferred. When government collects money from you, you cannot transfer the ownership of that creditors to another parties. That is non-marketable debt. Another classification of public debt that we have is funded debt and unfunded debt. Funded debt and unfunded debt. Funded debt means a debt where a sinking fund is created to facilitate its repayment. Funded debt is a long-time debt, long-time government debt, where a sinking fund account is created to facilitate its repayment. How? Government borrowed money. They borrowed money externally, external loan. They give them a moratorium period of 2 years or 3 years. Moratorium period means grace period. Take for instance now, when you borrowed money, the creditor may say, you just borrowed money now. In the next 3 years, don't pay me back. Don't pay me back both the principal and interest. After 3 years, you'll now be paying back. That 3 years is the moratorium period. Unfunded debt simply means government now borrowed money. When they borrowed money, they now went to go and create a sinking fund account that, when we start paying this money, it's from this sinking fund account we'll be paying. They created a sinking fund account before they start paying the money. They are now depositing some part of the certain, they are now making some deposits in that sinking fund account. That sinking fund account is now generating interest, it's now increasing. The purpose of that sinking fund account is so that when they start repaying the loan, when they start repaying the debt, they will be taking the money from the sinking fund account, not from their own current account. It's going to ease their burden. They have created a provision that they will be using to pay the loan, the debt, which is that sinking fund account, because that sinking fund account too will be generating interest. That is unfunded debt. What we mean by that is it's a long-time debt borrowed by government, where a sinking fund account is created to facilitate its repayment. Unfunded debt. This one is a short-time debt, where its repayment is made from government current accounts. Its repayment is made from government what? Current accounts. This unfunded debt is normally short time, less than a year. When government want to pay back, they pay back from their current account where the revenue enter. The government current account. What is the name of government current account? Who can tell me the name of government current account? In government, in public sector, we have different fund accounts. We have Federation Fund account. We have Consolidated Revenue Fund account. We have Contingency Fund account. We have Development Fund account. Out of this one I mentioned, which one is the current account that government used to pay salary, pay wages, pay everything? So which one do you think is government current account? Oh yeah, now. Consolidated Revenue Fund account is the government current account. So unfunded debt is a short-term debt where its repayment is made from government current account, otherwise called Consolidated Revenue Fund account. Do we understand? Understand? Another type of debt. Another type of debt that we have is another classification, number 3, reproductive debt and unproductive debt. Reproductive debt and unproductive debt. Another name for unproductive debt is called deadweight debt. Another name for unproductive debt is called deadweight debt. Deadweight debt. Deadweight debt. What is reproductive debt? Reproductive debt is a debt borrowed by government that is used to finance a long-run generating revenue projects. And its repayment is made from the revenue generated. And its repayment is made from the revenue generated. Reproductive debt means when government borrowed money to finance an event that will generate revenue for them. Government borrowed money to construct railway system. At the end of the day, the railway is going to generate revenue. Government borrowed money to construct a road. After constructing a road, they now put a gate. It's a revenue generating project. It's a reproductive debt. Government borrowed money to construct a modern international airport. If people want to board plane, they are not boarding plane by free. The airline paid money. Abi, it's not by free. It's a revenue generating project. It's a revenue generating projects. So reproductive debt simply means a debt borrowed by government to finance a long-run revenue-generating project, and where its repayment will be made from the revenue. If government borrow money to construct road, they put toll gate for me. The essence is what they will be generating from the toll gate, so that they can use it to pay the loan, to pay the debt. The rail, the passenger, the ticket, the revenue that will be collecting from the passenger, they will use it to pay the loan. Unproductive debt, deadweight debt. Unproductive debt or deadweight debt. This one, government borrowed money to finance an event that will not increase economy or the productive capacity of the economy. Government borrowed money to finance coronavirus, to finance natural disaster, to fight Boko Haram war, to fight bandits by buying ammunition. All this, they are unproductive. They will not increase economic capacity. They will not bring revenue. They are not increasing government revenue. Unproductive. We don't plan for coronavirus. So when government borrow money to go and buy coronavirus vaccine, it's not going to increase economic capacity. Financial, natural disaster, landslide, tsunami happen. Government borrowed money to address it. It does not increase productive capacity of the economy. So it's a deadweight project. So that is the third classification. The next classification is domestic debt and external debt. Domestic debt and external debt. Another name for domestic debt is internal debt. Domestic debt is otherwise called internal debt. External debt is otherwise called foreign debt. So domestic debt is the total amount owed or owned by government within the country. Within the country. Look at my definition. This is the total amount owed by the federal government to its local creditors within the country. The amount owned by government within the country is called internal debt or domestic debt. Sources of domestic debt. Where can we get domestic debt? We can get it through central bank. Central bank, they are the ones that issue treasury certificates, development bond for government. All these treasury certificates, they are domestic. They are within the country. Commercial bank, federal government can go to commercial bank and borrow money. State government can go to commercial bank and borrow money. Another one, insurance company local creditors. All these, they are sources of what? Domestic debt. Type of domestic debt that we have. What type of domestic debt that we have? What type of domestic debt that we have? Example, Treasury bill, Treasury certificate, development stock, revenue bond. They are what? They are the type of domestic debt. They are collected within the country. They are collected within the country. They are the type of domestic debt that we have. External debt. External debt is the amount owed by government to oversee government, institution, resident. I will call it the amount owed by government outside the country. The amount owed by government outside the country is called external debt. When government owed money outside the country is called external debt. The amount owned by government to a foreign country or foreign financial institution is called external debt. The amount owned by government to a foreign country or foreign financial institution is called external debt. Example of external debt or type of external debt. Trade arrear. Trade arrear means government went to abroad to go and buy goods from Microsoft. They order 1,000 laptops for Microsoft. They did not pay. They buy it on credit. Nigeria government can go there. It's trade arrear. It's part of external loan. Balance of payment support loan. Government can approach IMF, give this. IMF, they can give Nigeria loan called balance of payment support loan to support balance of payment. How does it need to support balance of to ensure that we are exporting more than imports? Look at the problem we are facing now. Look at how the economy is now. It's because we are imported oriented country. Most of what we use is imported. So if anything happens to dollar like this, it's going to affect. Look at how Nigeria is suffering now. So balance of payment support loan. Government now can go and borrow money to support balance of payment to ensure that there is more dollar in the economy. Project tie down loan. Government can approach this one, Paris Club, give them to do key project like 10 million bridge, 40 million bridge. It's a project tie down loan. Key infrastructural projects. Loan for social economy need is another type of external loan, external debt. Government can approach some developing financial institution, developing bank. Please come and give us a loan. No? This one is for social economy need. It's for us to do empower trader money. Do you understand? Rural development money, national social investment program. All the money given to less poor and the poor, the one managed by the Ministry of Humanitarian, they are what? Loan for social economic needs. So are we making sense? Am I making sense? So those are the type of external loan. Sources of external loan. Where can I get external loan? Where can I get external loan? I can get external loan from Paris Club of Creditor, London Club of Creditor, multilateral creditors. Who are the multilateral creditors? They are the IMF, World Bank, European Development Bank, Africa Development Bank, Infrastructural Development Bank. All these, they are called multilateral creditor. Let me repeat again. Multilateral creditor, example of them are IMF, World Bank, European Development Bank, African Development Bank, Infrastructural Development Bank. They are the multilateral creditors. Multilateral in the sense that they can give you money for any purpose. It's not for one purpose. Paris Club of Creditors, if you want to give you money, it will tell you the purpose that you use the money, you are going to use the money for. London Club of Creditors, if they want to give you the money, they will tell you what are you going to use the money for. So these are the sources of external loan, external debt. We have private sector creditors, Microsoft, HP, all those foreign countries. Nigeria government can go there to go and buy good on credit. They are what? Private sector creditors. They are private sector creditors. Now, the next thing that we need to look at is, we have talked about the classification. Please, let's take note of them. The next thing that we need to look at is factor responsible for accumulation of public debt. Factors responsible for accumulation of public debt. This point I want to mention, this is one of the key areas that I can normally ask. If you review public sector accounting past question, you will see that all diets, every diet question normally come out for public debt, at least 20-mark question from public debt. I always tell my students, my physical class students, for you to pass PSAP, you must know public debt very well. Second, you must know budget very well. Two of them, if you know two of them very well, 40% of the mark or 30% of the mark, if you already have it. There's no how you miss public debt. There's no year. Because I can too. They like setting questions based on issues that affect government. Public debt is affecting governments. Government have borrowed. We have borrowed a lot of money. As it is now, government is crying because most of the foreign loan that they borrow, they have to pay in foreign currency, and the rate of exchange is very high. They will pay more on debt servicing this year. Partially all revenue, most of the revenue, partially 60% of the revenue generated by government this year will be based on debt servicing. Debt servicing. Do you understand? So this topic is very important, particularly this area I want to mention now. I can normally test it in different ways. Number one way, or second reason for public debt. Second way that they can ask is, what are the reasons for public debt? Or what are the reasons for increase in government borrowing? Factor responsible for increase in government borrowing. I've reviewed past questions. I've looked at several ways that they have asked questions. This particular point I want to mention now. Reason for public debt. Factor responsible for accumulation of public debt. Reason for increase in government borrowing. The last way that they can ask is objective of public debt. Objective of public debt. So please, let's take note of this point I want to mention. Let's have it in our head. Number one, reasons or factors. Exchange rate movement. As dollar appreciates against major currency of the world, debt obligation of dollar-dominated debts appreciate significantly. Reason why government borrow? Because of exchange rates. They need to go and borrow to pay. They need to borrow debt to pay debts. Exchange rate is going up. They are owing. They need to service their debts. As the exchange rate is going up, the debt of government too is going to be increasing. It's going to be increasing. Take for instance, 4 years ago, government borrowed $20 million. As at that time, if they convert it to naira equivalent, maybe it's about that $20 million, maybe it's about 500 million. But now, $20 million, we go to about 200 billion. I'm just using that as an example. Look at it. If government have not paid that $20 million, if government want to pay now, they will be looking for 200 billion naira to pay something of 500 million naira. So, exchange rate is one of the reasons why government should go and borrow, because exchange rates of dollar appreciate against major currency. And government need to buy some of what they are using for their infrastructure. They need to buy it using foreign currency. They will not have money to buy it by converting the naira. So they don't have any option than to go and borrow dollar. Number two reason, external shock. External shock simply means drastic fall in the price of international crude oil. External shock simply means drastic fall in the price of international crude oil. Nigeria government over the year, they depend 80% of, in the past, like 5 years ago, 80% of Nigeria revenue, government revenue, federal government revenue, is coming from sales of crude oil that we sell to other countries for them to refine. That is where we get our major revenue. It's the one that contributes 80% or 75% of our government revenue budget. But over the year, the demand for crude oil reduced. As the demand is reducing, the price is going down internationally, because some of the countries, they make some law that will not be using fuel because of the carbon dioxide that it causes, or ozone layer, that the smoke coming out from fuel car is causing. They are now migrating to electricity car. As a result of that, people who are using petrol, they are reducing, except Nigeria. Most of the country now, they are now using electric car. Price of crude oil is dropping. When price of crude oil is dropping, the revenue of the government will drop. And government needs money to do basic infrastructure, to construct road, construct hospital, to build school. They don't have any option than to go and borrow to finance their budget, to finance their budget deficit. So because of price of international fall in the price of crude oil, government need to go and borrow money to finance their activities. That is that. Another reason, interest capitalization due to default payment. This one too. Because of interest capitalization due to default payments, government go and borrow the money. Another one I want to mention, huge and persistent budget deficit. When we have a budget deficit, one of the means of financing budget deficit is debt. Budget deficit means your revenue is less than your expenditure. It means your expenditure is more than your revenue. So it is going to, how do you ensure that there is a balance between that? So how do you finance that deficit? Is to go and borrow money. Debt. It means you are owing. You are owing. Anytime your expenditure is more than your revenue, is debt. So persistent budget deficit is one of the reasons why government borrowed money. low domestic stable. We don't save. Government don't save for rainy day. If government have enough money now, they will spend it. They didn't consider what will happen in the future. Our external reserve fund, there's nothing there again. They have used it, finished. We don't save for rainy day. And when we need money, since we don't save for rainy day, we don't have any option than to go and borrow. So that is that. Another one, rapid increase in population. As our population is increasing, in 1950, 1960, Nigeria population is less than 50 million. Look at the population of Nigeria now. We are almost 250 million and above. So can you compare the demand for people now as our population is increasing? The need for government to provide more hospital will increase. The need for government to provide more security will increase. The need for government to construct more roads will increase. The need for electricity will increase. More health, more school will increase. As a result of that, government don't have enough money. They will go and borrow. Because our population is increasing by geometric progression rather than arithmetic. The way Nigeria born this time around is geometric. In the next 50 years, Nigeria population will have been like 500 million or 600 million. Look at China. They are trying to control their population because they know the effect of population. Overpopulated. But there is no measure that the government took to address this issue of overpopulation. In the 1960s, when you were graduated from university, they will call you to come and work with them. They will be chasing you at your convocation ground. But today, it's graduate that is looking for job because rapid increase in population. Another reason why government borrow is balance of payment disequilibrium. Our import is more than our export. So for government to address that, to ensure that we have more exports, we create more industry in the country, we do more business, there's more export, to support local companies, government need to go and borrow money to ensure that our exports will produce more in the country. Government can borrow money to address electricity so that people can produce. When we produce more, we export. So that is another reasons for government borrowing. Economic instability too. When the economy is not stable, as we are now, the economy is not stable. The inflation rate is about 45% as of today. There's no good. I was listening to channels today. There is no prices of goods and services that remain the same for over 3 weeks now. When you go to market today, go next week, go and ask the price. Do you understand? So, economic instability. Well, government can borrow to address that by ensuring that they issue out more money in the circulations. Economic instability. To ensure that the economy is stable. Maybe there is too much money in circulation. Government can issue out a treasury bill so that people can subscribe. There will not be much money. Another reason for borrowing, natural disaster. Government can borrow to address natural disaster, insurgency war, internally displaced person, erosion, landslide. Government can borrow money to address such kind of issues. Fluctuation in government revenue too is one of the reasons why government borrow. Government revenue is not stable. It normally fluctuates. So those are the reasons why government borrowed money. So, ladies and gentlemen, all these points I mentioned, at least we should know 7 or 8 on our head. So we should know about 7 or 8 points in our head on factor responsible for accumulation of public debt. So please, let's take that. Let's take note of that. Another area that we need to know is advantage of public debt, or positive impact of public debt, or benefit of public debt. All this, or I kind of ask question this particular point. I kind of ask this in different ways. There was a time they asked, what is the positive impact of public debt? What are the benefits of public debt? What are the advantages of? They have asked, if you read past question very well. So take note of it. So what are the benefits? What benefit do we derive from government? Does government derive from borrowing? Number one, if government borrows, there will be rapid economic growth and welfare improvement. Rapid economic growth and welfare improvement. If government borrowed to address electricity issues, when Nigeria have electricity, we have 24-hour power supply, like Benin Republic, like Togo, that for more than a month, 2 months, 6 months, they will not take their lights. If we have stable electricity, our economy will grow. More people, those people who are doing handwork, they will see more work job to do. Those who are selling something, they are selling free something, they will not be paying for diesel. Companies that are using diesel, it will reduce. The prices of things will go down because the cost of their production electricity. So government can borrow to finance critical issues, critical events, critical projects that is affecting the economy, so that our economy can grow rapidly. Another one, to attract foreign investors or local investors. Confidence of foreign investors. If government borrowed, it's going to give more confidence to foreign investors. By the time government borrowed to do more road, provide electricity, provide security, more foreign investors will come into Nigeria to come and invest, to come and establish business. So confidence of local and foreign investors is also key. Another one, increase in standard of living. That is the point 3. Nigeria standard of living, the standard of living of Nigeria will improve if government borrowed money. Because that money that government borrowed, maybe they want to use it to create to construct rail, the rail that they want to construct is going to benefit many communities. Government borrowed to construct hospitals, our standard of living will increase, our health will increase. So that is the point. improvement of standard of living. Another one, employment opportunity. If government borrow, it's going to create more employment opportunity to people because more foreign investors will come in. They will come and establish business. Since our road is good, our electricity is good, we have good health. One of the best hospitals in Africa is in Nigeria. Our electricity is okay. Our road is standard. Our security is standard. Nigeria University is one of the best. When we have that, more foreigners will come in to come and establish in Nigeria, establish company. It's going to increase employment. More people will get job. More refinery will come apart from Dangote. It's going to do that. Reduction of income inequality. The inequality between rich and poor will reduce. Government will do so. If government borrow, they can use it to do some public school, public health care, so that those who can afford to go to private school will go to public school. Those who can afford to go to private hospital will go to public health care. It means reduction of income inequality, because income inequality means rich is there's gap between the rich and poor. Rich can afford to buy anything as he like. The children of the rich person can go to private school. If rich is sick, you go to private hospital. Income inequality. Poor don't have access to that. How can government do? Government can borrow to reduce the income inequality by constructing more public schools so that children of the poor can go there. Primary health care center. Wife of the poor can go to antenatal, public antenatal. All these are reduction of inequality. So, ladies and gentlemen, benefit of this public debt too. Let's take note. At least 5 points. 5 points. 5 points. Please, at least 5 points. Let's know 5 points from this. Now, problems or challenges of public debt or negative effect of public debt. As anything that has benefits also have negative effects. Anything that have benefit also have negative effects. So, the negative effect of public debt. Number one, excess government borrowing can lead to crowding out effect. This number one point, excessive government borrowing within the economy tend to crowding out private investment. In public sector, there is something called crowding out effect. Crowding out effect. Let me write it. Crowding out effect. Where can I write it? Crowding out effect. This is crowding out effect. Crowding out effect. Crowding out effect. Crowding out effect means some two person has a right and privilege to one resources, but the other out of for the two person, one out of them has more power than the other. Because of the power that one has, is now taking that resources for his own alone. The other don't have access to that resource because he has power more than him. So crowding out effect relating to public debt simply means this crowding out effect is for local borrowing, local debt. When government is borrowing more money locally, it's going to affect private investment. The local company, they will not have access to borrow money because the money that the local company, private company is supposed to have borrowed from the bank, government have borrowed it finish. So crowding out effect means government is depriving private sector from accessing money. Because government has borrowed the money finished from bank. That is crowding out effect. Public debt, excess government borrowing within the economy tend to crowd out private investments. Another one, tax burden on future generation. Public debt can lead to tax burden on future generation. If government borrow now, they will pay back for next 30 years. And they give them 2-year, 5-year moratorium. When they start paying back, those people that are paying tax then, they may not be the ones that enjoy what government borrow money for. Those people that enjoy what government borrow money for, they may be old at that time government is paying back. Do you understand? Now, the future generation now, when government want to pay back loan, they will increase tax. Those future young children that don't benefit from what government uses the money for, they will be the one paying excess tax so that government can pay back the debt that they borrowed. So this one, tax burden on future generation, that is the meaning. Meaning that future generation, they will pay unfair tax. They will pay additional tax for what they don't for the benefit that they don't derive. Funding excessive interest rate on public debt in hard currency. Foreign exchange rates. Yes. Because of foreign exchange rates, public debt interest rate will be increasing day by day. Because government go and borrow money, especially external loan. They borrow in dollar. If they want to pay back, they will pay back in dollar. Now, if government want to pay back, they will use naira to go and be buying dollar to pay back. And dollar appreciates. It's excessive interest. Government is paying more interest. Can you imagine now what government will be facing by paying foreign loan back? They will be paying in dollar and they will be paying heavily more than what they incurred because the rate of dollar to naira now is good. Can you imagine loan that government borrowed in 2012? Then dollar was less than 300. If you convert it to naira, then how much? Government is now still paying part of the loan now. Can you imagine how much they will be paying? That is excessive interest rates. Borrowing come with conditionality that become too stringent for the debtors. Public borrowing, they normally come with some conditionality that is too stringent for the debtor. All these foreign borrower, IMF, European Development Bank, World Bank, they will give you some conditions that we cannot attain. They may say if you want to be paying back, you'll be using your crude oil to be paying back. It's a stringent conditionality. It's a stringent conditionality. Stringent condition. Strict condition that the debtors, pound of flesh, the debtor will be sweating for the debtor to meet up with condition. Look at it. There was a time Nigeria government, if they borrowed money, they will be paying back in dollars. They will be paying back in the crude oil, using crude oil to pay back. Look at the amount of crude oil these people will be taking. I remember when there was a time, Julius Berger, the major contractor of federal government, if they do road, if federal government want to pay them, they'll go and extract crude oil for exchange consideration. Look at it. It was Obasanjo that have to stop that. It's a stringent conditionality. So those are the problems. Another problem, loss of independence. When you go and borrow from USA, go and borrow money from them, Nigeria will become their slave indirectly because we are owing them. We lost independence because we may not have power to pay the loan then. We may not have power to pay the loan. We have become their slave. So all these are problems of challenges of public debt. Public debt tend to widen income inequality. Yes, in another way around, it widens income inequality. So these are all challenges of public debt. These are all challenges or problem of public debt. So ladies and gentlemen, in case you have any questions, any observations, let's try and raise our hand and ask. So it's 10:30 already, so that we can close. By next week, we continue from concept of debt restructuring. So I don't want us to rush on this topic. We need to look at it one by one. So in case you have any question, any observations, any query, let us know.